Don't blame Liverpool's flow on Wirtz. Are his problems down to his teammates rather than himself? We start with Liverpool and the polarising figure that is Florian Wirtz. He signed for a potential £116 million in the summer. He's failed to live up to the hype as he struggles to find his role for the champions. Gary Neville said he looked like a little boy over the weekend, but his national team boss has shifted the blame back to his club, saying that all the fuss would go away if his teammates could just score the chances that he creates.
Kann, wissen wir alle. Und dass so ein Spieler in dem Alter auch mal eine Phase hat, wo eine kleine Delle ist ganz normal. Ja, wir können jetzt nicht erwarten, dass der über 3 Jahre am Stück immer dieselbe Leistungsfähigkeit hat. Wir müssen ihn da alle gemeinsam ein bisschen unterstützen, helfen, dass er seinen Kopf frei kriegt hier und dann Liverpool auch vielleicht die Dinger, die er mal vorlegt, dass sie einfach auch mal einen reinschießt. Wäre auch eine Idee. Ja, weil so ganz wenig vorlegen tut er ja nicht, nur die schießen halt irgendwie gern die Dinger da nicht rein.
A very good morning to David Bentley. Right, has Wirtz been quite unlucky this season? A classy player like yourself, but he has actually created a lot of chances. I think that's probably Nagelsmann's point, that he creates the chances. It's not his fault that they haven't been finished off. Yeah. So is he getting a bit of unfair criticism?
I think he is. He's a very technically gifted player. Unbelievable to watch when he receives the ball. Even all the kids out there, if you're watching a player that scans the pitch, scans before he receives the ball. He's so naturally gifted on the ball. But Liverpool are going through a bit of a sort of transitional period of the way they're playing. A lot of their attacks were built from the fullbacks. You know, Trent's gone, used to start attacks, and Salah as well. They need to sort of redefine the way they sort of play as a team and how they play through him. When he's in the hole, you're going to have to, as a team, everyone's got to be geared up to give him the ball in good areas and then feed off him and make the runs. I think he's slightly unlucky of where Liverpool are at now within this transitional period. That you're not really seeing the best of him, but he's an unbelievable player. You see the way he's received the ball there. He's so talented. The fans and and everyone, like the pundits and that, we have to stick by him. Yeah, we have to stick by him.
Were there similarities with Luka Modric at Tottenham? Because similar type of player. I think Modric was sometimes shifted out to the wing, like Wirtz is being, and we know what happened there. He came good, very good.
Yeah, exactly the same. When Modric came through the door, unbelievable, exactly the same. The way he receives the ball, he scans, he knows what he's doing before he gets the ball. Unbelievably technically gifted player. He can set the tempo and the tone of a football match, and you have to stick with him. Javi Simons at Tottenham, very similar. They're pushing him out wide. He's going to have to adapt to the physical nature of the Premier League. When you play in the Premier League, that's one thing. When you're up against sort of physically capable players, everyone's physically capable, and it takes you time to adapt and to find your feet. But
yeah, I suppose you'll have seen that throughout your career with, I mean, well, you played abroad as well, but when players who've come across to the Premier League or to England, how difficult can it be for some players to adapt?
Well, you've got to think about it as well. They've got their families, haven't they? You know, they've got to come in, they've got to adapt to a new culture, a new way of living. I've got full respect for the guys. When I was playing, probably didn't respect it as much, but they've got to adapt to that, not only the football, but the lifestyle. And certainly players that are that technically gifted, they have to be in a good place. The team have to feed them the ball. They have to be there receiving it in good areas. They're just not them players that are going to run around and show flying to tackles and so on. You have to give them the ball and you have to give them room to play. And the team has to all be geared up for them to be a success.
I suppose that is something that hasn't been taken into consideration there. We've talked about how Wirtz maybe isn't performing as well as he would like to, whereas his manager's saying that actually the players around him aren't doing their job. As you've just talked about there, coming over to a new country, the kind of personal side of things. We don't know what his family situation is, but coming over, things that we don't see and don't talk about. New country, and again, in terms of settling down, that sometimes that will never come for a player.
Well, that's what, when they come, it's the price tag as well. When he's come for such a large amount of money, people want to see him hit the ground running, but he's only 2 or 3 months into the season. You've got to allow him time. He hasn't lost that ability overnight. Liverpool have to, as a club, have to support him. We have, you know, as media, support him. We know how much ability he's got. He just needs to settle down. Liverpool need to settle down, and Liverpool in a bit of a transition on the way they play football. They've reverted back in recent games to the old way last year, where they haven't adapted to players that have come in. But as soon as them new players come in, you have to adapt and find your new way of playing. And that comes from every player, all the coaching staff and the manager setting that system and that way of playing through a player of that ability.
After 5 games, people were saying that Liverpool were definitely going to win the title. They had a brilliant start to the season. But after 11 games, they've played 11, won 6. They've now lost 5 at 8th and at 8 points off Arsenal at the top.
Yep.
Is their title race over?
It's looking like it. I don't think they could. The Man City and Arsenal in particular, they're looking too strong. I think if Liverpool, 5 games is probably too much to win the title. I was the same before the season, looking at them, looking at who they signed. You're thinking, they're bang on to win it. But they probably find themselves too far off to be able to really challenge and win the title this season.
Right, Sky Sports have partnered with Finalysis, an app where passionate fans share their opinions on their club. If you want to represent your club, scan the QR code here or visit the Sky Sports app for more details. We meet a Liverpool fan, Lola Katz-Roberts. Lola, good morning to you. Great to see you again. Where do you stand on Florian Wirtz? Has he been good enough or have his teammates let him down?
Well, I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't getting a little bit frustrated. You sign someone for that much money, you really do expect an almost instant impact. But there are a lot of caveats. He's a young player, he's never played in the league before, and there is that old cliche that you have to give young players time. As David was saying earlier, we're a team in a little bit of a transition phase. But yeah, I think I do probably agree with the fact that he's been let down by his teammates. I was just watching the highlights reel you had on there. I mean, if that Chelsea chance, the one he sets up for Mo Salah, goes in with the back heel, we're all sitting here having a very different conversation. I think his 28 shot involvements in the league are the highest without scoring or assisting a goal. And you just need a bit of luck sometimes. If just 1 or 2 of the 16 chances he's created go in, then I think we're sitting here having a very different conversation. So yeah, I am a little bit frustrated, but I do think there's been so many nearly moments, and I've seen enough to believe that it's coming.
Would it be a different conversation if his price tag wasn't as high as it was?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Liverpool Football Club have never spent that kind of money before, and that's part of what David was saying about how, in lots of ways it felt nailed on that we were going to come and really, really assert ourselves in the title race this season. When you make signings like that, it's a statement, there's no doubt. But, again, he didn't choose to be signed for that much money, and that money comes with pressure. But I think you just have to separate it a bit almost. Like, it is what it is. He's the best. He was rated as the best young player in the world, and that comes at a premium.
Yeah, in terms of his best position, we've just been likening him to Luka Modric there, David and I, and you would never ever think about playing Luka Modric anywhere other than central, but he didn't always play centrally. Do you think that Wirtz will eventually be 100% a central midfielder, or do you try him a little bit longer on the wing and see if actually that's his most natural position?
Well, I think a lot of it's down to Mo Salah. We can't talk about the Liverpool attack really without talking about Mo Salah. And on account of getting the big contract in the summer, Salah is going to play every game on the right-hand side. And then the difficulty comes with playing Wirtz in the 10 is that carrying both defensively is very difficult. So I do think his best position is in the number 10, but until Mo Salah leaves for AFCON, potentially I think you have to play him on the wing. It's when AFCON comes along that I would really, really like to see him start a run of games in the 10 with potentially Ekitike and Isak in front of him in a 4-4-2.
Oh, 4-4-2. David, I mean, you'll have played in several formations over the years, but when you started, was it mainly all 4-4-2? Has that gone out of the game now?
Yeah, I think 4-4-2, whether you can play him in a 4-4-2, you definitely play him ahead of a diamond in midfield. You have to, the whole team has to be geared up to feed him the ball, and then he sets a tempo and everybody makes runs off him. It's a difficult one because of the transition and because of the expectation, because of the value of him that he's come in for, and because Liverpool obviously were favourites for the Premier League. It's very difficult with the position he finds himself in, but you can't play a player like that out on the wing. You need him in the middle. You need him in the 10 role.
Lola, when you say there about Mo Salah going to Africa Cup of Nations, that's not lost on the Liverpool fans. They all know that's coming. Do you think that Wirtz can thrive, as being the main man when Salah goes, or is that going to put extra pressure on him when he's already struggling with the pressure of his price tag?
I don't think he needs to be the main man. He's a young player, as I said. I think the one that I really, when we talk about frustration and big money and being the main man, it's Alexander Isak for me, who really, really needs to step up when Mo Salah goes away to AFCON. I think it will help Wirtz because you've got that thing of not carrying two attacking players that don't do a lot of defensive work. I know Wirtz runs a lot, but he is very lightweight. So I think what I'd really like to see, what I think could bring the best out of him, is a 4-4-2 diamond with him in the 10. Let's take it back to the SAS days of Suarez and Sturridge, and he can play the Coutinho role. I think that'll help him. I mean, I don't think it's going to put more pressure on him. I actually think the pressure is really on Isak to provide.
On Friday, when I asked you if you lost the game against Manchester City, would the title race be over? I think you said no. Do you stand by that?
I do, because time is still on our side. There's 2/3 of the season to go. There's no doubt it's very difficult. But, I think people are neglecting the fact that big deficits have been overturned before. Arsenal trailed United by 13 points in 97-98. They trailed by 12 points in February in that season. United were 10 points behind us, painfully for me, in 2008-09 and went on to win the league. City were 10 points behind us in 18-19. So I don't think it's delusional to say that with an 8-point gap to the top of the league, we could still win it. But with the caveat that I wasn't expecting us to be so poor on Sunday. I really wasn't. I thought things had turned around with the performances against Villa and Madrid. And there's just no margin for error now. No more excuses after the international break. We've got what looks like on paper a good run of fixtures, and we've just got to go and start winning football matches again.
Yeah, Forest at home after the international break, then West Ham away in the Premier League. Lola, thank you.
Cheers, guys. Thank
Cheers.
you.